Good morning, students. Today, the class of parasitology, we are discussing tissue nematodes, part 1. Nematodes, in the last class, helminths means metazoa, we are classified into 3 groups: cystodes, trematodes, and nematodes. Tape-like worms, that is the cystodes, leaf-like trematodes, and nematodes, cylindrical structure. Then these nematodes, again, we classify, these are intestinal nematodes and tissue nematodes. Tissue nematodes in part first. Today I'm going to take a part as lymphatic filariasis. Filarial worms, they are present in lymph vessels or lymph node. And part 2, remaining filarial worms and other tissue nematodes. So before start the class, let's we first classify the tissue nematodes. Tissue nematodes we classify depend on their habitat, where they present in the body, mostly adult worm. So those present the lymphatic nematodes. Subcutaneous, they are present in subcutaneous site, that is conjunctiva, and fourth is the serous cavity. In lymphatic, those nematodes are present. That one is a Wuchereria bancrofti, Brugia malai, and Brugia timori. Subcutaneous, Loa loa, Onchocerca volvulus, Monsonella streptocerca, Dracunculus medinensis. In conjunctiva, adult worm is present, that is known as eye worm, Loa loa, and serous cavity, those are present, Monsonella species, Monsonella ozhardi and Monsonella perstans. These are the examples of tissue nematodes. When we classify tissue nematodes, we have to classify depending on the habitat of adult worm. So what is the class today? Class aim and objectives. At least every student at the end of the lecture able to explain what is the life cycle, what is the important pathogenesis part, means clinical presentation and complications, laboratory diagnosis, and prevention of Wuchereria bancrofti. Again, why the name Wuchereria bancrofti? This worm first identified by these two scientists named Wucherer and Bancroft. Wucherer identified the microfilary, its larval form in the body, and Bancroft, he identified the adult worm in the body. So the complete name, this name is from two scientists, their discovery, microfilary and adult worm, that's Wuchereria bancrofti, positive agent of filaria. The filaria is caused by, again, other worms also, so it is known as Bancroft filaria, filariasis. So at least we know what is the life cycle of Wuchereria bancrofti, pathogenesis, lab diagnosis, and how we prevent the filaria caused by Wuchereria bancrofti. Then second slide, that is what are the important questions may ask in exam. So what is the importance of the topic? LAQ also asked in before, and again SAT note also can ask short answer questions. LAQ such as they frame the question, classify filarial helminths, describe life cycle, pathogenesis, laboratory diagnosis, Wuchereria bancrofti and Brugia malai. Any three components they can take out of these four. Here four components, one is classify, life cycle, pathogenesis, lab diagnosis. Out of these they keep 3 for 6 marks, 2 marks each. Maybe short notes for 4 marks, life cycle, Wuchereria bancrofti, maybe pathogenesis and complications of Wuchereria bancrofti, laboratory diagnostic steps to diagnose the case of it is a Wuchereria bancrofti, to differentiate from caused by filaria caused by other worms. And microfilary, that is a diagram, well-labeled diagram with some important points. The classify filarial helminths. The maximum filarial helminths, when we classify, it is the maximum examples from tissue nematodes, because all filarial worms are tissue nematodes. The tissue nematodes we can again classify, maybe to remember, it is classified in the filarial nematodes and non-filarial nematodes. The non-filarial nematodes like a Dracunculus medinensis, sometime of in a Trichinella spiralis also. It is intestinal as well as tissue nematode. When adult worm present in the intestine, so it is classified under intestinal nematode, Trichinella spiralis. So Dracunculus medinensis, that is one of the example non-filarial tissue nematode. So suppose we again classify, again I repeat it, Suppose a filarial means when we classify which are the parasite causing filaria. Again, we classify three groups: lymphatic filariasis, cutaneous filariasis, in subcutaneous filariasis, and conjunctival and serous cavity. So then we classify like this as a lymphatic filaria, Uchia bankrupt, Brugia malai, Brugia timori. Then conjunctiva is caused by Loa loa. Subcutaneous filarial worms, Ankosarca volvulus, Mansonella streptosarca, that is, and another is the serous cavity, that is Mansonella ozardi and Mansonella perstans. This is the slide. So these are the causing. The remaining some tissue nematodes associated with the filarial worms. Okay, now we start the topic today, that is Uchia bankrupt, causative agent of bankrupt filaria or filariasis. It is known as lymphatic filariasis. That is a complications. One of the name is elephantiasis. The egg become like elephant leg. That is elephantiasis. Sometimes the name, that is one of the complications of filaria. So sometimes they ask short note also, it is a pathogenesis and complications in the filaria worm, or in the short note direct elephantiasis. India, that is a more burden of filaria, so it is important topic to prevent the filaria in the community. The Uchia bankrupt, when we class, again we discuss, these are the points: morphology, life cycle, pathogenesis, laboratory diagnosis and prevention, as like other parasite. Morphology, what are the different parts of the worm is present? In morphology, first there are two stages, at least in the human being. One is adult worm, male and female, and second is the larval stage, that is a microphylla. The male and female, how you differentiate it is a male and female. So what is the size of male? What is size of female? These are the nematodes. Again, general properties of nematodes already we have discussed. Again, you mug up. General property you write, what is a scolex, what is buccal cavity, what is male, what is the difference between male and female, GIT, and segmented or non-segmented, body cavity present or not, GIT develop or not develop. Already I told, again you can read, but these are the general properties of nematodes. After general properties, then you write specific property of each one. So this is the Uchia bankrupt, how it looks like, or how it differs from other. The male is smaller than female, and it is a 2.5 centimeter to 4 centimeter length, and 0.1 means 100 micrometer thick. 0.1 millimeter means 100 micrometer thick. It is a thin but and short also compared to female, because female is up to 10 centimeter. This is 4 centimeter, female is 10 centimeter. This is 0.1 millimeter thick, that is 0.3 millimeter thick. And posterior end, the male is the posterior end is the curve, and in female posterior end is straight and not curved. That is the difference again to male and female. So this is the size and shape that is known in logic. You read what are the maybe in the fix in the book. And this is viviparous. Viviparous means they directly give the birth to the larvae, no egg. Egg oviparous. Egg hatch out larvae, that is ovoviviparous. And only directly larvae deliver, that is viviparous. So this is the viviparous parasite. And they delivers the larvae that is known as microphyllae, and this is the structure of microphyllae. It is present in the peripheral blood of the human being. It is the larval stage of Uchia bankrupt, microphyllae in human being. The microphyllae, it is the size is up to 250 micrometer length and 8 to 10 micrometer thick. In the center, there are nuclear chromatic nuclei present, and this depend on this arrangement of this nuclei, we can differentiate microphyllae, because microphyllae present in the blood of other parasite also. Other filarial worms like Brugia malai, Brugia timori, Loa loa, and Ankosarca volvulus of some type, Mansonella. So these are the present in the blood, and we differentiate it is Uchia microphyllae or other microphyllae. So that is the structure of microphyllae is important to detect or identify specific worm infection. So these chromatid granules are present, and this is sheath. Sheath is outside. This is a sheath. The sheath is more longer than the maybe 350 micrometer length compared to 250 is the microphyllae. and the seated microphyllaria. The not all microphyllaria seated. Some are seated, some are non-seated. Just like the Uchia bancrofti, Brugia malai, and Loa loa, they are seated microphyllaria. Remaining non-seated myelophylla. That is the one difference. Second, arrangement of nuclei. On that basis, we differentiate. These nuclei in the tail absent, that is the Uchia bancrofti. This nuclei, this is the anterior end, head, cephalic space. And this is the tail. In the tail, nuclei are absent in the tail. That is the Uchia bancrofti. Suppose here. This is the tail. And if they are present only 2 points, that is the Brugia malai. And nuclei present till end, that is the Loa loa. So this is the seated microphylla structure. In short, you read what are the different structure of microphylla for different phyllid worms to differentiate. For structure of microphylla 250 to 300 micrometer, some micro having a sheath. This is the chromatic material are granules, and arrangement of chromatic granules till end, that is a characteristic feature. And second is the sheath. On that basis, we can differentiate microphyllaria of which phyllid worm. That's why the important structure of microphyllaria. So when the short note asks, draw the diagram. Microphyllaria is what is importance in the life cycle, and third is the identification, diagnostic importance. This is about the morphology. The morphology, adult worm, say size and difference between male and female, and this is microphyllaria, again differentiating between other phyllarian worms. Next part, Uchia bancrofti, when we go for the life cycle, we start. So first we know what is definitive host. Definitive host, where the sexual cycle is present, and sexual cycle means male and female worms. So that is the first is the Uchia bancrofti. Definitive host is man, and intermediate host is the Culex mosquito. Is commonly in Filarial Uchia bancrofti filarial worm. Female Culex mosquito. Also it transmitted by Aedes and Anopheles mosquito also. Infective form, now I will tell, don't get confused with Thursday's larva and microphyllaria. Microphyllaria present in the human being, in the definitive host. This microphyllaria goes to the intermediate host. An intermediate host develop Thursday's larva. And Thursday's larva is infective for human being. In MCQ question, don't confuse. Microphyllaria is not infective form. Microphyllaria is infective form for secondary host, intermediate host means mosquito. And for human being, from mosquito to human being, that is Thursday's larva. Mode of transmission, inoculation. The difference between inoculation and penetration, because penetration means any microorganism directly enter into the skin, just like a Schistosoma hematobium and Anchostoma corporalis. There is filariform larva and Cercaria. They directly enter or penetrate the skin, that is known as penetration. Here, with the help of insect, when they deposit it on the skin and then they enter, that is known as inoculation. But it is a promoter transmission by parental mode of transmission through inoculation, bite of mosquito. And through bite, they deposit it on the skin and then they enter into the skin. That is inoculation. Site of localization, lymphatics are lymph node of the lamb, because again I am telling it is lymphatic filariasis, Uchia bancrofti and Brugia malai. So they are present in the lymph. Why they are again present in the lymph? Because lymph is a food, nutritious material. Those want to survive or for growth of the parasite, they present in the lymph, and that's why they are present in the lymph node or lymphatics. There is a nutritious material present for that one. Okay. So this is the important points before start the life cycle. Intermediate host, already I told, Culex mosquito is the important vector for Uchia bancrofti. Other are Aedes and Anopheles. This is a life cycle. First we start, this is the complex life cycle. Important steps I want to first tell in the life cycle. First we start the life cycle from definitive host. What is the present the definitive host? Adult one. Where they present? Lymphatics. Mostly they present inguinal lymphatics or lymph node. The adult one, male and female, they are present in the lymph node. In the lymph node or lymphatics, then when they sexually mature, male and female copulation and female delivers are release the microphyllaria. Then the microphyllaria way out from lymph to peripheral circulation, and they enter into peripheral circulation. Now, most important part again, there in the peripheral circulation, they have a periodicity. What is periodicity? Because they only present in the night in the peripheral blood, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sorry, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. in nocturnal periodicity. In daytime, they present in the deep vessels or deep arteries or deep inside the organ, internal organs. In the night only, they enter into the peripheral circulation. So what is the, maybe there is the reason in the peripheral circulation, that is maybe the sleeping stage sleeping habit of the human being. At the night, we prefer we sleep. That time there is chances of bite of mosquito. Culex mosquito mostly bite at the time of sleep in the night. So Culex is the main vector, and so that's why they want complete the life cycle and they enter into the peripheral circulation. That is one of the reasons. Why again I'm important in nocturnal periodicity, because when we collect the sample daytime, we are missing the microfilary in the blood, peripheral blood. So if you want to take the sample, either you have to take 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And that is very difficult to go in the survey, go to the home and take the blood in the night, not possible. So this is another method I will tell in laboratory diagnosis. So that is also one of the important part of nocturnal periodicity. In the life cycle, when the male and female copulation, female release the microfilary in the limb. From the limb, they enter into the peripheral circulation. For peripheral circulation, they present are maybe in the night 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. After that, they present the deep vessels, blood on the deep vessels. When the night, when this is the definitive host, adult worm to microfilary complete. Then the peripheral, but when the intermediate host means Culex mosquito or any other Aedes and Anopheles mosquito female, when they bite, this microfilary enter. This is a microfilary. This microfilary enter into the intermediate host, that is Culex mosquito. In the intermediate host, in the thoracic muscle of the mosquito, they develop into third stage larva. How this is the first, this is microfilary. After up to third stage larva, it takes 10 to 12 days. At this stage, this insect or mosquito bite to other person is not able to transmit the infection. It takes 10 to 12 days to it become infectious to other human being. In 10 to 12 days, what happens? This microfilary converted to first stage larva, then second stage larva, and then third stage larva. First stage larva, it is a 250 micrometer. This is a 400, and this is very big, 2000 micrometer, means 2 millimeter size. 2 millimeter size and 20 micrometer thick. And this third stage larva is infected. The microfilary enter from the penetrate the gut wall, enter thoracic muscle. They develop into 3 stages: first stage larva, second stage larva, and third stage larva. It takes 10 to 12 days. In this 10 to 12 days, it becomes 2000 micrometer length and 20 micrometer thick. Then the again from thoracic muscle they enter into the organ of bite proboscis, and when they bite, these third stage larvae get deposited into the skin and enter into the body by inoculation method. And then these third stage larvae develop into adult worm in the lymph node or lymphatics, and again they release the microfilary. Third stage larva from the blood into the lymphatic vessel, because nutrition material they are growing from first stage to adulthood, it takes time, and they develop sexually mature and release the microfilary. Again, suppose this again I want to explain from differentiate malaria, filaria and malaria, mostly the important point asked. Both are transmitted by mosquito. One is Anopheles mosquito mostly, and this is commonly Culex mosquito. And also Anopheles mosquito also can transmit filaria. So why did they? Because one microfilary developed to one third stage larva. In the malaria, from one gametocyte, they develop thousands of sporocytes. So that is the difference. It is only 1 to 1. So this is the complete life cycle. Again, keywords I want to tell life cycle, because adult worm to microfilary, microfilary in the peripheral blood to into intermediate host, in intermediate to enter the thoracic muscle. In thoracic muscle, they develop into 3-stage larva, one first stage, second and third stage. After third stage larva, they enter into the organ of bite proboscis, and then again they enter into the human being by mosquito bite. And this is the life cycle. Adult worm to microfilary and microfilary to third stage larva, intermediate host. After the life cycle, then third part, that is the pathogenesis. Morphology and life cycle is over, and classification of filarial worms. Pathogenesis. So before start pathogenesis, first important points again you have to remember, that is what is infective form. Again the points get repeat, no problem, but at least you remember what is infective form. Human being, we had third stage larva. What is the mode of transmission? Insect bite, mostly Culex mosquito bite, inoculation method, route of entry. Site of localization, lymphatic vessels or lymph nodes. Why? You have to explain. What is source of infection? Human being, where the microfilary are present in the peripheral blood, that is a source. Agent host interaction, now pathophysiology and clinical presentation, that is and complications. Last, very important, complications. Agent host interaction, pathogenic states are produced only by adult worm, living or dead. And occult filariasis is produced by microfilary. Only two stages present in the human being. What are the lesions or clinical presentation which associate the adult worm? It is known as classical filariasis. Sometimes there are differentiate between classical filariasis and occult filariasis. And occult filariasis, that is a clinical presentation associated with the microfilaria. Larvae is responsible for the clinical presentation, that is occult filariasis. Now, what are the clinical stages? Maximum cases are asymptomatic for long period. First, acute stage, that is the inflammatory stage. Chronic stage, that is obstructive stage. There is two important stages by adult worm: inflammatory, acute stage; obstructive, chronic stage. And due to microfilary, that is occult filariasis, tropical pulmonary eosinophilia. Now, first stage, that is the inflammatory stage. The inflammatory stage, actually what happens, most important, the lymphangitis. This is most important, the lymphangitis. Any inflammation, lymph node inflammation, lymphadenitis. Lymphangitis. Sometimes there is allergic reaction, filarial fever, and chronic lymphedema due to the accumulation of lymph. What is most important is the lymphangitis, inflammation. Any inflammation associated with fever. Any inflammation is associated with fever, malaise, and it's parasitic infection. So you soon how count is more. Which antibody is more? IgE antibody is more. So what is role of lymphangitis? Inflammation of the lymph vessels. How? Because the adult worm, it is a very big size, up to 10 centimeter female and 0.3 millimeter thick. So this much size, when they migrate in the lymphatic vessel, 10 centimeter means more than 2 to 3 inch. Migrating in the lymphatic vessel, they cause irritation to the endothelial lining of the lymph vessels. Irritation. Due to irritation, there is a damage of the endothelial cell. That is one of the mechanisms. Then the mechanical movement or mechanical irritation due to the movement of adult worm. Second thing, when these first stage larvae develop into adult worm, that time it secretes waste products get released. Due to waste product known as the toxic products or metabolites. These metabolites having the toxicity to the endothelial cells. Just you remember that the lymph vessel is there, that the adult worm is migrating, so there is a chances of irritation. Second thing, this first stage larva when enter into the body from mosquito bite, then enter into the lymphatics. In the lymphatics, develop into the adult worm. In this phase, it releases some metabolites that is also toxic to the endothelial layer of the lymph vessels. Third stage, female at the time of parturition, when they delivers the microfilary, that time they release the fluid that is known as fluid of parturition. So this fluid is sometimes toxic to the lymph vessels layer, endothelial layer. Fourth, sometimes this adult worm get dead and they release the toxic substance after dead. So that is also it is a irritation. And fifth is the secondary bacterial infection. By this damage, there is chances of secondary bacterial infection. By this mechanism, there is a lymph vessel get damaged, or there is inflammation, and due to inflammation, there is a clinical presentation, lymphangitis. So this is the mechanism already told: liberation of metabolites, mechanical irritation, toxic fluid, and absorption of dead worm. This is fertilized female, toxic to parturition at the time of parturition method deliver the microfilary. So these are the important pathophysiology why the lymph vessels get damaged. So due to this, there is a clinical presentation. Again, any inflammation in the body, there is a fever, lymph node environment, eosinophilia, IgE level is more. So that is known as filarial fever. And this causes of lymphangitis. Another stage is obstructive stage. That is a mostly chronic stage. What are the importance of obstruction? These are the importance. Suppose this dead worm in the lymphatic vessel, they get coiled. When it get dead, it becomes coiled. It forms ball-like structure. This ball get obstruct the lymph vessel. That is one mechanism. Second, when there is inflammation at the lymph vessels, there is endothelial proliferation. Due to endothelial proliferation, there is a thickening. The thickness of the lumen, it get decreased. That is one. Due to endothelial proliferation. Second thing, there is a lymph vessel wall fibrosis. Due to lymph vessel wall fibrosis, again the lumen of the wall it get reduced. Means anything lymph vessel get obstruct. That is the flow of lymph it get blocked. Why? Either by the dead worm. Second is the fibrosis of the lymph wall. Third is the excessive proliferation of endothelial layer due to damage, so they block the lumen. and fibrosis of lymphatic vessel as well as lymph node. जहाँ पे efferent and efferent lymph node get fibrosed. So there is no flow of lymph through the lymph node and lymphatics. So this, due to this obstruction, what will happen? Due to the obstruction, this accumulation of fluid in the lymph vessel, should the accumulate fluid होगा तो फूक जाएगी, उसको होती है lymph varix. फूकना, ballooning like dilatation of the lymph vessel, that is known as lymph varix. अब lymph varix होगा तो what is फूगा फूगा balloon जैसे होगा, उसके बाद फट जाएगा. So the rupture of lymph vessel, that is another complication. It is go by sequence. In chronic filarial one, there is mostly the obstructive stage. Due to the obstruction, there is a dilatation of the lymph vessels, that is known as the lymph varix. This lymph varix maybe get ruptured. So it is a this lymph, or that is another name is chyle, coil. It get accumulated different parts of the body, mostly genital area. It may be accumulated to thorax, so known as chylothorax, after rupture of lymph vessel. If they accumulate in the abdominal cavity, known as chyloascites. It may be the scrotum hydrocele. Epididymids in the testicle genital area part. So there is the accumulation of either in the leg or in the genital area. Sometimes a rupture, but sometimes they not rupture due to this accumulation. There is pressure. So due to pressure, this leaking of the plasma from that lymph vessel, plasma get leak. And due to leaking, it accumulate into the affected part, and there is known as edema, formation of edema, lymphoedema. Lymph accumulate into the tissue. Why it is? Because it get obstruction. Lymph vessel accumulate the lymph, so the lymphatics. Due to lymphatic, there is something leaking, permeability, leaking. So leaking accumulation into the tissue. So there is a swelling, that is edema, lymphedema. So it is that time it is pitting edema. When you press, it is pitting edema. You know how to demonstrate the edema, pitting edema. But after some days, this lymph again cause the excessive multiplication of subcutaneous tissue, that affected part, and this tissue get proliferate. Now it becomes solid edema. पहला जो edema था वो lymph के वजह से था, so it is pitting edema. अभी it replaced by the solid edema. What is the mechanism of solid edema? Due to the lymph, it is nutritious. It is stimulate the excessive multiplication of the subcutaneous tissue. So now it is fluid is replaced by the tissue, and it is a tissue when accumulate, that is the solid edema, non-pitting edema. That is again severity, and that's why non-pitting edema it is known as elephantiasis, enlargement of the lymph. This is the different mechanism of obstruction that figure is showing. This is the lymph node, and this is the lymph vessel. Due to this, the fibrosis, accumulating endothelial cells, and that is there is obstruction. Due to obstruction, there is dilatation, and there is lymphatics. Complications due to the emboangiovarix, dilatation of the afferent lymphatics, and get rupture. After rupture, already told, if what is the site get rupture, that is a different name. Chyluria in the urine with chyle, chylothorax, and hydrocele. And last stage is elephantiasis, that is leaking, solid edema. This is solid edema. This is the last severe stage of filarial presentation. Elephantiasis, like leg like elephant. Fourth stage, that is due to occult filariasis. Because due to adult one, only inflammation, that is a lymphangitis, already mechanism I told, and this is the obstruction, that is a chronic filarial present elephantiasis. Tropical pulmonary eosinophilia, it's mostly the name is there, pulmonary matlab lung is involved, and it is a tropical eosinophilia, matlab eosinophil is more, and it is just like a hypersensitive reaction to the microfilaria entrap into the lung. Sometimes this microfilaria release from the lymph by adult worm, but not able to reach the peripheral blood, and most of these microfilaria, due to maybe our immune system is activated, get destroyed in the tissue. Some entrap into the lung. So there is a common presentation due to like allergic reaction of the pulmonary system, lung. That is one. Maybe in the tissue, there is eosinophilic granuloma also cause if they entrap into the other tissue other than lung. But mostly maximum they entrap into the lung, and presentation is like a respiratory tract involvement. Paroxysmal cough, nocturnal wheezing, just like asthmatic attack, low grade fever, not high grade fever because it's hypersensitive reaction. Lymphadenopathy, eosinophilia, excessive rise in anti-filarial antibody titer, which again antibody, IgE antibody. It is caused by immune hyper responsiveness to microfilary antigen trapped in the lung. When these microfilary entrap into the lung, they get sometimes destroyed by immune system. They release the antigen. When they dead, they release the antigen, and antigen stimulate the immune system, but allergic type 1 hypersensitivity. And there is a clinical presentation like asthmatic attack. Like when not by the other allergens, is due to the antigens released by microfilary. This is known as occult filariasis also. So this is about the part of pathogenesis. The pathogenesis, what is the asymptomatic, inflammatory acute, obstructive chronic, and third is occult. Fourth is occult. Another name is tropical pulmonary eosinophilia. It may be the microfilary entrap into the other tissue and cause granuloma, that is known as eosinophilic granuloma, accumulation of eosinophils in the tissue where the microfilary get entrapped. Okay. Then next part is the laboratory diagnosis. How we diagnose the case? It is a case of filaria and caused by which filarial one, Uchia bankruptcy or Butyria malaria. The which sample you have to collect? Most important sample is peripheral blood. White provocative test. Second part is a provocative test. Again, now I will explain this because already I told microfilary present in the blood in night time. Night time is not able to collect the blood. So whenever the daytime when we want to collect the blood, that is one of the method, provocative test. We provoke the microfilary enter the peripheral circulation by this test. And then we observe in the staining method or wet mount of blood examination, microfilary, very bigger size, easy to observe in low power also. Because it is 250 to 300 micrometer size. So we can observe by microscope in the light power or high power microscope, objective of microscope. And another concentration method, if they are scanty, some concentration method also there. So we collect the blood in large amount and they concentrate all the microfilary present in the blood in the sediment at the bottom of the tube, and that material will be examined in the microscope. So chances of getting the microfilary in the blood is more if they are scanty in the blood, peripheral blood. So which sample you have to collect? Most important is the blood. Blood sample you have to collect, but also we can collect if there is a chylous urine, chyluria, hydrocele fluid, if there is suspected hydrocele due to the rupture of lymphatics and lymph accumulating to the scrotum, exudate lymphangiovarics. So these are the most important blood, peripheral blood, and again we prefer the capillary blood of the earlobes. Not that the figure I told, I have shown by the cubital vein. It is no, it is mostly preferable. If not possible, okay. If you patient agree, no problem. But if you patient agree to give the blood of earlobe, it is a better site, peripheral blood, to collect the blood from earlobes. And this is the microfilary by the staining method, Giemsa staining method, or any Leishman staining method with Giemsa. This Giemsa microfilary with no nuclei at tail tip. This is the identification of Uchia bankruptcy. Cithate nuclear microfilaria, cithate and non-cithate. Cithate, one characteristic feature. Second, no nucleus, tail tip, that is indicate. This is a tail tip that indicate it is a Uchia bankruptcy. If they are present in the tail tip, till tail tip, that is loa, and the only 2 points are present, 2 dots, that is a Butyria. So this is when you write a laboratory diagnosis, draw the diagram, write a characteristic features, cithate and no tail tip. This green color is very important. So in this way, it is a method is very simple. Just like a malaria, collect the blood, observe the parasite, collect the blood, observe the parasite. But how you differentiate and make a diagnosis of Uchia bankruptcy, that is important. So this is a microfilary present in the peripheral blood, the Giemsa staining method. Now DEC. DEC provocative test, where because again you first you do what is the importance. Why we are use the DEC? DEC matlab diethyl carbamazine. It is known as hetrazan. Hetrazan provocative test. Sometimes it is only used as a provocative test or provocation test. Sometimes use the word DEC. All are same. DEC, diethyl carbamazine. That is the name of the drug. Trade name is hetrazan, and provocative test or provocation test that is used to detect the microfilary in the peripheral blood in daytime. So why this is simple method? We give the dose of DEC, hetrazan, 100 milligram orally. When we give the drug after 30 minutes, in daytime, microfilary present in the blood vessels of internal organs, they release due to giving the drug, they enter into the peripheral circulation. The 100 milligram DEC or hetrazan, we give the patient or person In that way, what are the microfilari present in internal arteries or vessels, blood vessels? They enter into the peripheral circulation. And after 45 minutes, we collect the blood from earlobe or cubital vein. That is a DEC provocative test. And then again, we IMSA staining, demonstration of microfilari differentiation between the filaria bones. Concentration technique, if they are scanty, the saponin concentration technique we do, either lytic agents RBC, the lysis the RBC, and all the microfilari at the concentration method deposited at the bottom of the sediment, at the sediment at the bottom of the tube, and this sediment we use to examine the microfilari. Serological test again is indirect method, thus indicate there is a exposure to the microfilarial antigen and filarial antigen. Detection of antibody. Laboratory diagnosis, these are the steps: collection of sample, demonstration of microfilari, provocative test, and concentration methods. Next part, treatment and prevention. The treatment is diethyl carbamazine. It is the microfilaricidal 6 mg per kg per day for 2 to 3 weeks, 21 days, if you are diagnosed the case of filaria. Elevation of affected limb, use the elastic bandage, local foot care. Why we are giving? Just reduce the symptoms of lymphatic obstruction, because there is no cure lymphatic obstruction by this drug. So reduce the further complications like elephantiasis by giving. They should not get accumulate the lymph at lymph vessels by this method. Elevation, bandage, another. Surgical treatment of hydrocele, remove the fluid. Prevention, if you know the life cycle, mode of transmission, mode of transmission, where is the source? What is the mode of transmission? So that is under treatment. Disturb mosquito, that is a transmitting vector. Protection against the mosquito bite, that is personal protection. And treatment of carriers. Carriers means what? Carriers means those are microfilari present in the peripheral blood. That is a carrier. Carrier means patient. But it is not a symptomatic, but microfilari is still present in the peripheral blood in asymptomatic cases, and that is a act as a carrier. That also needs treatment. So this is the part. Now last slide is a summary in 1 or 2 minutes. What is the keywords? Now this class we have completed, that is filarial worms. First classification, you have to classify it. It's a mug up, there is no logical. Lymphatic filariasis, कौन से worms है? Wuchia bankeri, Brugia molai, Brugia timori. Cutaneous or subcutaneous filarial worms कौन से है? Ancocerca volvulus, Loa loa, Monsonella perstans, these are these. Serous cavity कौन से filarial worm? And Loa loa, I also worm, Loa loa. Serous cavity, Monsonella ozardi, Monsonella perstans. This is the list of filarial worms. What is importance of microfilari? Then I told, because morphology you have to write, but microfilari is important because it is only the unique structure we can differentiate the filarial worm infection of the patient. The Brugia, Wucheria, Loa loa, Onchocerca, whatever may be. Clinical presentation, pathophysiology of filariasis. क्या clinical presentation क्या है? One is the filarial fever. Second, that is the reason is lymphangitis. That is pathophysiology. Clinical presentation, acute filarial fever. Patient with a fever with malaise, with cough and lymphadenopathy. Ig level is more, and eosinophilia. What is pathophysiology? Lymphangitis. Mechanical irritation, toxic fluid released by the parturition, dead worm, and metabolites by growing larvae. That is the pathophysiology of irritation, lymphangitis. What is the second presentation? Obstructive. That is elephantiasis or rupture of lymph vessels. Why did it get ruptured? Because obstruction. What is pathway obstruction? Due to obstruction, there is accumulation of fluid. Lympharix, matlab dilatation of lymph vessel. Either they get rupture or leak. Due to rupture, there is a chylothorax, chyloscitis, hydrocele, epididymis, and other. If they get leaking, so there is a pitting edema. After pitting edema, convert to solid edema due to the multiplication of subcutaneous tissue. Then diagnosis. Collection of specimen. Clinical presentation one I forgot, that is the pulmonary occult filariasis. You have to add due to microfilarial antigen release when they enter into the lung, and there is a hypersensitive response of the body. Fever with malaise, with cough, sneezing, just the respiratory tract involvement, eosinophilia, Ig level is more. Collection of specimen, one earlobe peripheral blood. Second is chylous urine, or there is a lymphatic, there is a serous fluid. And what we observe? Microfilaria. How we diagnose? It's seated or non-seated first. Seated, one list, non-seated, second list. Then arrangement of the chromatic nuclei. टेल तक है, टेल तक नहीं है, और है तो पूरा है या 2 ही पॉइंट में है. नहीं है तो उच्च बैनकॉप्टी, पूरा टेल तक है तो लोआ लोआ, सिर्फ 2 ही पॉइंट है तो ब्रुगियामला। Prevention of transmission, if you know the mode of transmission, just break the chain, that is the prevention of filariasis. Okay, this is the part of class today. Any difficulty, just post your questions on WhatsApp. When you observe the video or YouTube, write your name and roll number in the chat box for your attendance. Thank you so much.